In this episode, I share with you 4 core roles every leader needs to master. Welcome to Leadership for Startups, where we help entrepreneurs and leaders with practical tips to build businesses that grow and flourish. My name is Toyo Shimbi, your host, and welcome to episode 5. In this episode, it's going to be another solo cast following on from episode 4. If you haven't listened to that, it might be helpful if you listen to that first. It's just 10 minutes, but it lays the foundation about what we're going to be talking about today. This episode might just be the most important episode because today I want to share with you the 4 core roles that every successful leader needs to master. Now, there are a lot of things that a leader needs to do, but from my own observation, my research, and from working with leaders, if a person can nail these 4 roles down, most likely they're going to be a very successful and great leader. Now, just like in our last episode, resources will be in the show notes. And in the previous episode, I gave you 3 distinct roles that a business needs to be successful. The innovator, the person with the ideas, the person that is future focused, sometimes called the rainmaker. Then we talked about the manager, the person that wants all the ducks lined up in a row, consistency and stability. Then we have the technician, the person that actually gets the work done or is an expert in the work that is being done. And I asked you to assess yourself and that you potentially could fit into 2, but most likely 1. This, we said, is therefore your area of strength. The other 2 areas need to be filled with someone that can confidently play that role. But then we said that 1 role is still missing. And that was the leadership role. The leadership role is the role that oversees the rest. So you can either be the innovator and the leadership role, or you can be the manager and the leadership role, or even the technician and the leadership role. But it's vital that you realize that the skill set needed for the leadership role is different from the roles mentioned, even though in some situation they overlap. So we talked a lot about leadership. The podcast is called Leadership for Startups, but I realized that we've never really defined leadership. We're going to talk about a few definitions, and maybe in other episodes we'll look at others. So let's first attempt to define leadership. What is leadership? Well, John Maxwell, my mentor, says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Stephen Covey defined leadership as communicating to people their worth and potential so clearly that they're inspired to see it in themselves. It's a brilliant definition. While Aubrey Daniels looked at 3 areas to define leadership and to measure a leader. Number 1, the magnitude of their impact. Number 2, the duration of their impact. And number 3, the number of followers. And what he meant was that a great leader produces disciples who extend their message and example well beyond their immediate temporal role. And so the real test is how long a leader's message influences the behavior of a significant number of people. And so with these definitions, we're beginning to see that leadership is about influencing people and those people taking action, in a way, choosing to take that action. And as a leader of your organization, that's one of the goals that you should have in order so that the business doesn't end up relying completely on you. And so we are going to talk about these 4 areas that are essential for you to nail down, because it's going to free you up and allow you to choose whether you want to continue to work in your business, if you want, work on your business, or even if you want to get somebody else to run the business, these 4 roles that we're going to be looking at is going to help you to do that. So let's start. Number 1, lead yourself first. This is something that can easily be taken for granted as you lead a growing organization. If you're not constantly growing, then you maybe are holding your team back. So self-leadership is the starting point of leadership. And self-awareness is what brings about growth and change. What should you be looking at? Well, I'm going to give you 3 areas for you to always be focusing on that can help you become a better leader. Character. Constantly working on your character. And you can go to our website, download the checklist, 12 essential characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. Go to leadershipforstartups.com. And if you're listening to this and you can't find it, just contact us and we'll send you the PDF so you can find out where you sit on that checklist. But character is what we see of you, and it speaks volumes. And at the end of the day, character will always matter more than anything else. Integrity, courage, self-discipline, all these characteristics that are so essential are what people need to see that you live out the very values that you're promoting in your organization. Competencies. You see, character will always matter most, but competencies is what is going to help you get results. So there are some core skills that have been identified as essential for a leader. For instance, the ability to manage your time effectively as you grow and scale. The change in behavior that you need to know when you're managing others, for instance, which is different from managing managers. The question you ask somebody when you're managing others and the question you ask somebody that is managing managers are completely different, and that's a learned skill. Having the ability to communicate with different personality types, knowing how to manage through behaviors and not just results. These are things that you should be working on in yourself, constantly having the right competencies to be able to influence your staff, your stakeholders, etc. Connection. Knowing how to connect with people, knowing when to be vulnerable, knowing when to show empathy, how to build relationships that lead to collaborative efforts, knowing how to give feedback. You can check out episode 2 with Chris Chin on how to give effective feedback. See, these are all learned skills. These are things that you would constantly need to be developing and working on yourself. So, is this something that you have focused on? Do you have a development plan? What's your answer to that? You would know. So that's number 1. Number 2, envision the future. You see, it is the responsibility of the leader to ensure that he or she helps to cast the vision of the organization. Now, if you started the business, do you have a clear idea what you want the business to achieve? Now, as a leader, it is your responsibility to help each employee know that their work is meaningful. To quote Aubrey Daniels, who's a leadership and behavioral expert, he said, "Leadership gives meaning to the mundane. Therefore, casting a vision statement helps to provide the context people need to give value to the daily tasks that they must complete." This is one of the ways you're going to be able to attract top talent in the organization. When they see that it isn't just for the money, but that you're intending to make a difference in the world, you're more likely going to get their buy-in. Now, doing good is going to matter even more as we approach the next decade. So it would be a very good idea that you're very clear on the intent behind your business. Now, a good vision usually has 4 main ingredients. Number one, the core purpose, why you exist. Number two, the core ideology, what the company stands for, its values. Number three, the envisioned future, what the future looks like when the company's assignment or mission is accomplished. And then number four, the missions and the goals, the specific, quantifiable way you would know that the mission is being accomplished. So do you have a clear vision, clear values, a mission, and goals? This is your responsibility as a leader. A 3-year goal at least, a 1-year goal, a 90-day goal would help create clarity for your people and for yourself. Number three, align systems and processes. This is the tricky part of leadership because it might not always be a typical entrepreneur's natural skill set unless they are developed. See, once a company is in position to scale, which means that they've found their customer and can begin to predict how they make sales, the next phase is to begin to align systems and processes with the main overall goals of the organization. A company can only scale when there are consistent systems and processes in place. Why? Well, to quote Obi Daniels, again, a leader must be involved in management to the extent necessary to ensure that systems and processes are in place that will outlive personalities so that the leader leaves a legacy that survives successive management changes. This obviously is maybe the most challenging part of leadership, but you'll find that the person that might find this the hardest is the technician. Because as I mentioned in my previous episode, the usual saying is, if you want it done right, do it yourself. Maybe you can begin to appreciate that teaching others to do what you do is more challenging. And not only that, it is even more challenging creating a system around what you do. And that's the work of the leader. So first, your business should put work into these three categories. A, projects. Now, these are jobs that have a beginning and end and have more than one task. B, processes. These are a set of tasks that follow a routine, either daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. And then C, tasks. And these are simply one-off assignments that just need to be done. So systems, therefore, become the way work is done in a predictable manner. For instance, if the selling process is clear, then anyone selling the product or service should follow the system. Once the order is made, it follows a pre-described pattern. This should not be dependent on a personality, but the system determines how things should go. In order to keep it alive, it should be reviewed regularly. Now, the areas that you should be looking to create systems around are: number one, sales and marketing; 2, operations; 3, finance; 4, teams; and 5, leadership. But as mentioned, these systems should be reviewed regularly. Now, by doing this, your business will scale much easier. And as a starting point, a good resource to understand how to create systems is the book Work the System by Sam Carpenter. And you might be able to get the book free on audio from his site. You can type that into Google. So the question for you is, do you have a system and a process around doing this? If not, then why not? See, growth can't happen until it becomes an area of focus and you systematize it. Okay, so the final and the fourth core is developing your people. As you can see, it's leadership's responsibility to develop the people in the organization. The development needs will depend on who you have hired, but one thing you've got to know is that you can't give what you don't have. So growing together might be a better option if you haven't got much experience to pass on, because it's a skill to nurture people and not offend them or micromanage them. Also, you're most likely to hire people that are good at what they do, and that's the technician role, but maybe have never managed people themselves. This is something that I see all the time. People would either micromanage their direct report or abandon them, and not much in between. So getting every staff member to have a development plan will be a good starting point, with the agreement to all grow together. And that will go a long way in the early stages of an organization. To be able to help your people develop, it is of most importance that you first set very clear objectives and clear expectations around how you expect them to achieve these objectives. The reason being that clear objectives can help us become more aware of the skills needed to be able to achieve that objective or goal. To give you an example, let's say you've just hired another staff and you've got an older staff member to have this new member in their team, but your staff has never managed someone before. See, you need to be aware that he or she isn't going to know about how to delegate properly. And if the younger staff member hasn't got a clear objective, then it's very difficult for the older staff to even inquire where they can help. So right from the start, getting your staff members to, for instance, read books to increase their knowledge and teach each other what they're learning could be a great starting point for everyone to increase their knowledge and skills in different areas. And for instance, in that example, a book like The 1 Minute Leader by Ken Blanchard will go a long way. So do you have competencies? Do you have a competency framework that people can assess their development levels? Do you have a leadership framework so that you can know where and how to develop your people? So these are questions that can give you an idea where your leadership focus is at. So as you can see, these 4 core roles are not that many, but you can also see that they go very deep into what a leader needs to be doing. And I've got to be honest, it isn't going to be easy because you are dealing with people. But let's just remind ourselves on what these 4 core roles are. Number 1, the role that you need to lead yourself first. Something that you always need to remember. It always starts with you. So the first person that you need to lead is yourself, and there will definitely be more episodes around that. The second, envision the future, which we've talked about having a clear vision for your organization. Number 3, align systems and processes. And number 4, develop your people, which is the key to getting your business off the ground and not dependent on you. Now, I have specifically chosen those words so that you can hopefully remember it, because it spells lead. Lead yourself first, envision the future, align systems and processes, develop your people. L-E-A-D, that spells lead. So what can you do? Well, I'm going to give you simply 2 things that I want to recommend. Number 1, focus on creating your leadership development plan. It always starts with you, so you need to become a self-learner and develop your own development plan. And you can start off by identifying where you are with our 12 essential characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. Go to leadershipforstartups.com, download the PDF, check in where you are, and then create a leadership development plan around that. Then number 2, get your staff to also choose to work on their own development plan. Now, the secret is that the organizations that are going to be successful in the future are going to be the ones that have developed self-driven, self-disciplined individuals that have bought into the company's vision, and therefore there will be little resistance when it comes to leading them, because they will be leading themselves. And that's just a tip in terms of what's going to happen in the next few years. From today's episode, I want to recommend some resources that you can also look at. These will be in the show notes. For instance, number 1, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, Start With Why, Simon Sinek, Built to Last, Jim Collins and Jerry Porras, Work the System, Sam Carpenter, The 5 Levels of Leadership, John Maxwell, and The Measure of a Leader by Aubrey Daniels. Now, if you are enjoying this podcast, please subscribe, rate it a 5, write a review, and go to my website, leadershipforstartups.com. Engage with us via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so that you don't miss these practical tips that will help you be a better leader and you can grow your organization. Till next time, to your success. See you soon.